Hello everyone, this is Cage1129 with Krauser Studios. Today I am going to show you how to make a super basic game. It's all going to be about like just avoiding obstacles and stuff, but the idea is that at the end of it, you are going to be able to take what I've shown you and make your own little obstacle avoidance game out of it. So first we need to create a player. So let's go and create a capsule real quick. I'm in game view, there we go. I'm going to zero this out so it's actually on the ground to make our lives easier. Get up out of here. And we're going to be using the simple controller move crap today. So first off, we need an FSM. Let's call it player move. Okay, we're going to add two actions: get access vector. So relative to, we're going to say capsule, and we're going to go and rename our capsule to player. There we go. And you change the tag to player as well. We'll be using that for some of our traps. Store vector. We'll call it vector 1. Doesn't really matter what you call it. Then controller simple move. There we go. So game object requires character controller component. We're going to go and click on that. It's going to add it for us. Control simple move vector. It's going to be the vector we just set up here. And for the most part, that's it. What's going to happen right now is if I move around the WASD, I'll move around, but we can't see what we're doing. So next we're going to do, we're going to drag our camera, we're going to parent it to our player. And then we're going to zero all this crap out so it's nice and in the middle, just like that. Then we're going to move it forward on the Z-axis, that's the little blue arrows, then up a bit to simulate first-person view. Cool. Next we're going to do character look, or we're going to set up our camera. So we're going to set new FSM, call it player look. Edit. We're going to add in 3 actions. Mouse look. Then we're going to add that twice. And then we're going to do cursor. Set mouse cursor. And then we're going to do hide cursor, lock cursor every frame. And this is going to make sure our mouse doesn't go anywhere. Now, expand this real quick. So first we got to do mouse look for X, only on X, and game object is use owner. This is because when we pan the mouse left and right, our character will turn with it, but we don't want it to turn up and down with the mouse because that'll literally make our character tilt forward and backwards. So for mouse look, we're going to change to the Y-axis, and we're going to change specific object to camera, so only the camera moves up and down. Then we should be good to go. I'll put in a few objects just because without a texture it'd be a little hard to see everything. Give you a brief little, whoops. Should work. So yeah, looking up and down like that. Then pushing forward. Okay. Forward and backwards is not working. Back to here. What did I screw up? Oh, let's try to up the movement speed. Maybe that's it. There we go. Yeah, I guess I was moving. I was just moving really slowly. Alright, cool. Now, right quick, let's go ahead and take this. I'm going to turn it into a variable so we can edit it later. I'll call it player speed. Then we're going to go over to our variables tab, player speed. We click on input. It puts it right here so we can edit it. Let's go and put it at 7 instead of 5. Alright, cute. So yeah, we can move around and everything. Let's go and do some damage though. So we need to set up health on our player first. Add new FSM, call it health. Boom. And we're going to choose an integer this time to add in a variable. Call it health. Also going to mark it up there as an input. Change it to, let's say 100 for now. It's going to be up to you. You can change it later if you want. Then basically add on to the state. We add a global transition. So go to your events tab. And we're going to get on take damage. And you're going to click this box. And what that does is it allows another FSM to send an event to this FSM. It's the only way they know how to communicate. Let's take damage. And we need one more variable. Make sure this is also set to integer. Basically, if you have, if you use Playmaker actions, if it's a float, you're trying to subtract it from an integer, it's not going to work unless you tell it to convert it first. So just for your own peace of mind, we call this damage to take. Okay. Then in this state, we're going to add in int subtract. So our health, and we're going to subtract our damage to take from it. And basically, when we hit a trap, we're going to tell that trap to set this variable to whatever its damage is, and then run this. And that'll subtract our health. Then last thing we need, int compare, or take our health. We're comparing it to 0. If it's equal to or less to, we're going to be dead. Boom. And we'll set up a really quick game over screen real fast. Nothing crazy. UI, image, the inspector, get its transform set to 500, 500. I'm going to call this a game over screen. You can make it black, whatever color you want, honestly. Text Mesh Pro, call this game over. And whether we use this or not, it really depends. So we need to make sure, I know that when you're getting started making games, you want to just rush, you want to just go, 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 go. Don't do that. That bites me in the ass every time. So label everything. This image is the game over page. Or deactivate it. Okay. Now, so we do have a game over screen if we want to, and if our health sets to 0, we could totally do that. So when our health hits 0, we're going to activate game object, game over page. So when our health reaches 0, we're going to transition to this state, and that activates the game over screen. And then we're going to scale time. You don't have to do this, but I like to 0. This is the whole game freezes if you die. And then I'm also going to show you how to put in like a checkpoint system. Basically, we're going to be making kind of like a version of like getting over with Bennett Fodley. So next thing I'm going to show you, make a cube. And I'm going to show you how to do damage. Okay, so we're going to create a really simple damage area real fast. Turn this into a trigger to make it easier. So here's the thing. You can have a collider trigger something, or you can make it a trigger. Make it a trigger, it's an area that you can pass into, and it'll still trigger something. A collider will physically stop you like a barrier. So we're going to call this trap 1. Basically what's going to happen is we're going to add in an action called trigger event. So trigger event, enter, collider tag. We only want this to run if the player touches it. We'll call this do damage. Okay, add in a few variables real quick. Make sure they're integers. Call this damage, add to the input, and let's go ahead and say 5. And then store collider, so the object that we hit object, call it whatever you want. You can call it player, it's up to you. So then we transit, so the player activates this, come over here. Now we're actually going to do our damage. So we're going to do set FSM integer, change owner to our hit object, which would be the player. FSM name is health, because that's what we named it. Helps it if I spell it right. Variable name, damage to take, because we're going to change that to our damage. Set value, what are we going to set it to? Our damage. Now we're going to run that whole thing. Send event. Now order of operations is important because it does it top to bottom. So game object FSM. Once again, our player that we hit, FSM name is health, and the send event is going to be global events, take damage. So what that'll do, just to recap, basically this FSM isn't going to do anything, but the first thing it's going to do is going to take this, change it to its damage, and then it's going to tell it to go to this state, in which case it'll subtract its damage from our health, and then come down here, and it's going to wait for full compare. We don't need to do every frame, because the only time we're going to lose health is when we take damage. So that'll save us some process. It may be tempting to put on every frame just to make your life easier, but that adds up really quick and it's inefficient. So I'm showing you a little bit about, like, you know, don't turn things on that don't need to be turned on. Cool. So I'm going to make you red as well. Okay. watch our health here. There it is. Huh. Just a second here. Health damage. Oh, whoops! I missed. I bet a typo there. Yeah, see, I wanted to keep stuff like that in here so you can see how to test for bugs. You go step by step. Variable names, very, very, very picky. Spelling, everything matters. So you have to be really careful how you type stuff. Copy and paste names when you can. So, right quick, might as well go and show you this. Play unfocused means that when I playtest the game, sometimes I want to be in scene view so I can watch everything. Sometimes I want to be, see what the player sees. Play focus automatically jumps you to this tab. Unfocused does not. And maximize takes this game tab and maximizes it for all of Unity. Oh, whoops. Let me bring on my health here. Boom. Yep, there we go. See? 5. Now, show you the next part. So you notice I've touched this, I've gone here, and now it won't do damage again because it's not waiting for it to have touched me. So here's the thing. We're going to put in a wait. Now you need to be really careful how you do this. So a wait, and if I add in a finish transition, basically this automatically tells Playmaker, hey, when I'm done going through all of my actions, we're going to go to this transition. Now, you need to have a delay. If you don't, every single time it jumps back and forth, it'll trigger it again, which means that it will keep doing its damage to me every frame, which is like 10,000 damage in a second. It could easily be more. I don't know. But so, make sure you put in a delay. And let me show that to you real quick. To make things easier, we're going to go ahead and put on a small little itty bitty health. And then from the ecosystem, installing the ecosystem is kind of like add-ons for Unity, even though I'm sorry, an add-on for Playmaker, even though Playmaker is already an add-on for Unity. But in it, you'll need to get the Text Mesh Pro actions, so you can edit Text Mesh Pro. Otherwise, if you want, you can just go to UI, use Legacy. The Legacy text is complete garbage, but you can totally do that if you want to. The setup is kind of the same. So we're going to take our health, move it, anchor it bottom right, jump to it real fast. And this white box is going to be everything the player sees. So sit here, we're going to move it down like this. We're going to give it a nice little fancy bar too. And this is a good chance for me to show you some user interface stuff. We'll change this to black so you can see it. Just like in our actions, how they order in the hierarchy matters. So for instance, the image comes first, so it's rendered first. If I move the text after the image is on top. So, I'm sorry, the text is on top. So how you order these things is important. So next thing we're going to do, scale this down a bit. Be right back. Sorry about that, it's raining cats and dogs outside. Anyways, back to this. We're just going to give it a background just so you can see it easier, and it does honestly look nicer. And then we're also going to sit there and we're going to anchor it to this bottom right. That way when we adjust the game screen, it'll come with us. If we don't anchor it, that's what happens. So if we want to anchor it bottom right, that way it stays constant with the game screen. Cool. So we got our cube, we can do damage. Now, last thing I'm going to show you is how to set up some basic traps, and that's going to be, I mean, if I want to, I can make this invisible, or if I want, I could set, like, let's say I want to turn this into, like, a poison gas or something. So we're going to set in a particle effect. Particle effect addiction is totally a thing. So we're going to change this to, let's say, hemisphere, rotate it back, -90. Let's say, start to green, but we're going to make it a little transparent because it's supposed to be gas. And start size is 10. There we go. And we're actually going to make it move slower. We're going to increase its lifetime. And pre-warm. pretty much means that the moment this starts, it's going to kind of jump into the middle of the animation. Actually, make this 2 so it's much larger. There we go. And now let's go and take our trap. Actually, I should mess with the trap size first. I just want to see how far this gas goes. So, okay, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and expand this to 10. Oh, I guess 20. Yeah, I guess 20 is good. So yeah, now if the character goes in this area at all, they'll constantly take damage as if it was gas. And I can attach this. I'm going to change the scales back to 111. Cool. So now when the player comes into this, they'll take damage. Let's pretend. Canvas, we're going to call this effects. This is just a category we're doing. So UI, image. We're going to make this pretty much fill the screen. That is not filling the screen. Still is not filling the screen. 1500? Okay, 1500. Not 15,000. Okay, we're going to make this green, or we're going to actually make it really transparent. We're going to call this acid hit effect. Okay, now we're going to disable this. Or actually, before we disable that, we're going to FSM where it shuts itself off after like a split second. So wait, let's say 0.5. And then we're going to say deactivate self. Alright, cool. And then one last thing we need, when it does damage, we're going to activate game object acid hit effect. It's going to change this back to 1 real quick. Now, reset on exit. That means that when we leave this state, this gets turned back to what it was before. So because we're activating it, when we leave, let's go back to being deactivated. And it's our way of like simulating an acid effect. Okay. Alright, so here's another important thing I want to show real quick. Notice how I'm not taking damage. The trap remembers that I've been here before. So we're going to go and change this real quick to trigger stay. So it doesn't care that I've been here before. So that's how you do ongoing damage as opposed to like one-time damage. I'm going to watch it go. There you go. So it's constantly doing damage to me. And you can watch my health going down, down, down. So just show you some really easy miniature effects you can do real quick if you want to add some stuff. So let's crank this up a notch. First, I'm going to create a nice big walkway for the player. And it's x-axis. So we're going to make this 50. And let's actually do like 200. And this is going to be 10. And we're going to say that the player kind of has to be on here. Change this to local. It's trying to grab the player in the entire interface. Pivot. Oh, sorry. Pivot is the one I should have clicked on. So for you might have that problem with the player. I'm not sure how to explain it in layman's terms, but the general idea is that it's focused more on the object, not on all the sums of the objects, like the user interface and everything. But let's go and color this. So right-click, create, go to material. And this is how you create a color and how you color stuff. Let's go and make this a nice dull gray. There you go. Alright, cool. So, first trap. Let's say, so let's go and take this, get rid of the particle effect real quick. And we're going to scale this back to what it was. We're going to do something called creating a prefab. So let's go ahead and rename this to trap 1. We're going to drag it here. And what this does is allows us to, if I have 50 billion of these, all I have to do is open this up and make changes to it. It'll automatically push those changes out to every usage of the item on there. And it's also how you can spawn the same item over and over and over again. Okay, so let's go ahead, make a 3D object. Be down here. Scale this up to, let's say, 20. Sure touches the ground. Oh, you are not on the ground. And neither is the player. There we go. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead, make another cube. Notice I'll be at the same scale. So we're going to go ahead and, whoops. I grabbed the wrong one. The ret. Whatever. Okay. Alright, let's go and stretch this out. Just like that. And basically this is going to rotate with damaged things hanging from it. And we're going to create... Actually, we're going to go and duplicate this. And we're going to rotate it upwards. Oh dear God. So it parented it. I have this hanging down. Should have kind of lined up. Now we're going to stretch it. So we want to make sure the player can actually hit what's dangling from it. Just like that. So we need to stretch it out just a little bit more. And move it up a bit. We'll take one of our traps. We're going to zero this out. So it teleports it where we need it to go. Go. And it hangs just like that. We want to make sure is that this is not so tall that it hits the player and physically stops them. And then we're going to take this, we're going to duplicate it, we're going to drag it over here. Alright, now here's the cool part. An FSM, we're going to call this rotate. What you call it doesn't actually matter. Unless you're actually trying to talk to that FSM, so it's up to you what you want to name it. Let's call this rotate. And if you click on the rotation tool, you notice that's the y-axis. So we're going to make it do this. So y-axis, we're going to turn this into a variable so we can adjust it on the fly. Rotate, speed, y per second. Alright, cool. And now, variables, making it input. Let's start off with 50. And we're going to make this unfocused so we can just watch it real quick. Just like that. And let's go and bump it to 300. If you really wanted to be a jerk. Okay. Cool. So that's how you rotate something. Now we're going to make something kind of jab at the player. You know, I'm just going to have this free floating. I don't think you really care about anything else. Take another one of our traps, parent it to that, and then zero it out. You don't want to hit reset because it'll reset everything including the scale. You'll have to try and figure out how to rescale the object anyways. Okay, so it's parented, so when we move this, it'll do that. So with the arrow, the way the arrow is pointing, that's positive. And so if you wanted to go back, that's negative. Unity does not understand forwards and backwards. It understands positive and negative and on what axis. So the reason that's important is we're going to have to do spear FSM. Sure, why the hell not. We're going to do, let's say, translate. Translate tells something to ignore physics. So on the z-axis, we're going to see -5 per second. So it's going to go forward. Then we're going to wait. And let's say we wait for 5 seconds. And then when we do that, we are finished. Then we're going to come back, copy these, paste it here. But we're actually going to turn this into a 5. That way it'll come back and forth. Maybe 5 seconds was too long. I did not add a way for you to come back. Just like that. Now let's change it from 5 seconds to, whoops, nope, 1 second. And make sure we set it to finished. If you check on every frame, it will ignore finished unless you actually have an object that says yes, use this. There we go. Just like that. And cool part. Okay, let's call this spear trap. Add it here, that way we can spawn it multiple times if you need to. And check this out. Duplicate, 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 duplicate. Now, before you duplicate something though, make sure, let's say, we'll call this our delay. Input so we can edit it. Say this one is 1. So now, when I go back to these spear traps, I can add them as much as I want. So let's say this one is 2. Let's say this one is 0.5. So this one is 1.5. Give some randomization. Now, part of being a game dev, though, is you're going to have to watch these. Yeah, see how this one is not working? It's because it's going too far out. Looks like it's actually going farther and farther out. You know why? Because I didn't... Open this back up. Okay, so wait time was delay. I changed it here, but I didn't change it here. Now, the reason I leave in these mistakes is so you can see how to troubleshoot bugs. And because I made it, I don't have to change it for all of them, because I made it a prefab. Cool. Alright, cool. So yeah, that's pretty much how you go about making a really basic game. Let's go ahead and start this up. Oh, sorry. One last thing. I'm a total dum-dum. Come here. GUI. Oh, sorry. Text Mesh Pro. Okay, I guess I don't have... Cool, then I guess we're getting rid of this. Canvas, UI. Or I should go back to using a legacy text. Shutter. Bump this up a bit, make it bold so it's more seeable, make it black. I'm going to move it down here. 0. Alright, cool. So we've put our new health text right there. Go to our health FSM. We're going to say UI text set text. This one. Use owner. We're going to specify this text, and we're going to have it be equal to our health. Now you notice when we start the game, and I need to make sure I dock it bottom right, move it back again. So right now it's a 0, 0. I want to enter the game, see it's changed to our health. $5. Alright, cool. Ow. 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 Alright, cool. So let's say also, so effects we have acid. Let's go and change this to just normal hit effect. We'll actually make this red. And when we take damage, activate game object, hit effect. Now, once again, though, because we duplicate it, it's already set up to deactivate itself. So reuse what you can, but also plan ahead. Okay, let's give this one more go, and then we'll be done for today. And you can also add in a sound effect as well if you want to. Show you a little something about that real quick. Do I have any sound effects? I do not. Okay. So if you go to the Unity Asset Store, you log in with your account. It's automatically set to whatever account you made with Unity. So you go to Unity Asset Store and say, hey, add stuff to my assets. It'll show up here as long as you have this under My Assets. Let's just do free casual game sound effects. Let's go and import that. If you download it, it's on your computer, and you don't have to worry about leaving it again, and you can import whatever project you want. What you don't want is just to import everything, because the problem with importing everything is that basically you'll have a bunch of extra game files in your project, so when you build and give it to people, your game files will be larger than they need to be, and that does add up over time. So don't add stuff unless you really want it in your game. Looking at sound effects, we need a good hit effect. There's a ton of free stuff. Ooh, 48 should be good. Okay, so check this out. I do audio play, not play audio. Play audio does something completely different. The game object requires audio source component. We're going to go and say yes. Our project, you might need to drag it up here in order to be able to link stuff. Let's see, it was 48, right? Yeah, 48. Boom. And so, wait for end of clip. We're going to go and deselect that for now. What will end up happening is it won't transition until this is done playing, and sometimes the hit effect is longer than it needs to be. Okay. And yeah, so that's a little bit. This will be the last thing I'm going to show you real quick. I'll probably keep saying that. Boom. Alright, cool. So yeah, take what you've learned here. If you want to make something, and I mean, you can combine as much stuff as you want. There's tons of effects in Playmaker to choose from. For instance, I could attach these to the spinning thing if I really want to, and create an absolute monstrosity. But it's going to be up to you. You put traps on both sides, make them go back and forth a little bit more. There's also the wonderful, I'll show you one last thing. So we're going to set up a jump real quick. I know I keep saying just one more thing. No, not get key down. Get key down means when this button gets pressed down, we're going to do this. Space, and we're going to jump. Then we're going to say jump, controller jump, jump height, let's say 3. And our controls, we're going to not bother with that. Land event, new event, we're going to call that landed. And so when we land, we're going to come back. And what this basically does is it stops us from jumping multiple times while we're in the air, because it won't let us come back here to press spacebar to jump until this is completed. Just like that. Feel free, if you don't know what something does, feel free to just screw around with the numbers. Remember what they were before you set them back. So yeah. There's also lighting. Don't mess with that. Intensity, 0.1. Hell, you can even make it red. There you go. Just blind your players, because screw them. You can also, there's actions in Playmaker to screw with directional lighting. And then there's my personal favorite. Say we make this white, lighting, environmental, real-time shadows. So you can change this darker to make the shadows more crisp, like this. So yeah, it's up to you. Take what you've seen today, make something cool out of it, and if you want to, link me, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Catch y'all later. Bye.